In this lesson, we're going to learn how to apply materials to specific selections. Alright, so there may come a time where we want to apply multiple materials to one specific object. So let's say that we have our ship body here, and what we want to do is we want to create some sort of two-tone material out of this. So we want kind of this green color on top, and then underneath we want this brown color. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that. Well, it's very simply done by going to your editable poly mode and then selecting polygons. Now we can come in here and we can create the selection that we need. I'm going to hit Alt Q to isolate this object here. And let's come in here and let's just start selecting some of our polygons. And I'm not going to be able to get all of them. I don't want to get too caught up in all that, so I'm going to use my grow function to kind of help me out with that. So I'm just going to hit grow a couple of times. And let's go ahead and select all the way up to this point right here. So I'm going to hit grow again. And we've got some extra polygons that we didn't want selected, so let's hold down Alt and use our marquee selection to deselect those. And then let's also deselect this here, and then this tiny row right here. Okay. So just trying to get all of these. Alright, so I have this selection, and now what I can do is I can come in here and go to my materials, and I can have that brown material selected and just assign that to our object. Now if I deselect that, you'll see that that brown material is now applied to those polygons. I'm going to hit Control Z one time just to bring back that selection because I'm going to need that here in just a moment. So my next point is we can create multiple materials using all of these slots, and you have a total of 24 materials. You can go vertical, and then you could also move horizontal, and you can see all of those materials there. Now these material slots, this is in the compact editor. Now if you were to move over into the slate editor, you have as much room as you need. You can just drag in a material. Okay, so a material type, which is going to be standard, which is what we're using. And then you can come in and you can change the diffuse color. You can double click on this and you can see that we have the same sort of options here. So you can come in and you can create as many materials as you like. But for right now, we're working with just the compact editor. Now, whenever you're dealing with a lot of different materials, there may come a time to where it's getting too cluttered. And you can organize your materials a little bit better if you use what's called multi-sub-object materials. And these are used whenever you need to apply multiple materials to a single object like this. So I'm going to show you how to create that right here. So what we need to do is we need to change our material type first. So right here you can see that we have a standard material type. If you click on this, this will allow you to choose a different material type. You'll see that we have a bunch of different standard materials that we can use, and then we also have a lot of different mental ray materials that we can use. Now by default you may not see any of these materials. If you do not see any mental ray materials, what you'll need to do is you'll need to go into your render setup, and then at the very bottom you're going to see this assign renderer. Expand that, and you want to set your production by clicking on the choose renderer button to NVIDIA mental ray. Okay, now yours may just say mental ray or something like that, but I'm using an NVIDIA machine here. And so once you've done that, you can close this, and now whenever you go into your material types, you should be able to see mental ray in there. Alright, so let's find the multi-sub-object material. Double click on that, and we're just going to discard the old material. Alright, so now all we have is this black material. So there's no material set up in this. Now, whenever working with a multi-sub-object material, you need to determine how many materials you're going to need on this object. So for my ship, for right now, I'm going to need just 2 at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to set my number to 2. We'll hit OK, and you'll see that that list of 10 has now been shortened down to 2, and this is a little bit more manageable. Now, the next thing that you'll need to know is the ID number. So the first one is set to 1, while the second is set to 2. So on this first material, we're going to use the existing materials that we have here. Now, if you click on None, you can create a brand new material just like this. Okay, so just like we did before, you'll see that it has now gone into the standard parameters here. Now, don't get confused. We did not lose our multi-sub-object material. It is just up 1 level. So we need to hit Go to Parent, and you'll see that we are now back at our multi-sub-object materials parameters. Okay, so if you want to go back into that standard material and start adjusting some of those values, you can do so. Now, you can create a new material just like this, or if I hit Go to Parent, what I can do is I can grab a hold of this green material, and I can click and drag onto that first slot. Now, you can instance it, or you can make it a copy. Now, making it a copy will make sure that these two materials will be totally independent of one another. Now, if you instance it, if you change one, it's going to change the other. So let's just use copy. So you can see now that material is on our multi-sub-object material, and you'll see that we still have that black checker pattern. Okay. Now, the black is representing what's in slot 2, which is none. So let's go ahead and take our brown material, and let's click and drag that to our number 2 slot. We're going to make that a copy and then hit OK. And you'll see now our multi-sub-object material is displaying properly. Now let's go ahead and let's take this material and let's assign it to our object. Okay, so we're just going to deselect all those polygons, and then we're going to assign that, and you'll see that nothing has really changed here. Okay, now has it actually updated our material? Well, we can see by simply removing this old material. So we'll reset that, and we want to affect the material in the scene and also in the editor slot. So hit OK on that. You'll see that our material is still staying there. Let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Reset, affect only in slot, and in the editor. And this material is now working. Alright, so how does a multi-sub-object material work exactly? You were talking about polygons, so why was this so important? Well, a multi-sub-object material will recognize the polygon IDs of your object. So if I select this polygon right here, and I scroll down, and I'm going to go down to my polygon material IDs rollout, you'll see that this polygon is set to the material ID of 1. And if I select this one, this is set to the material ID of 2. Alright, so if we want to change this, we can come in and we can select the polygons that we want to change, and then we just simply set their ID to something different. So if I set this to 2, this is now a brown square. If I select that again and I set that back to 1, it is now set to green. Alright, now you can do that with multiple polygons. So if I come in and I select all of these again, and I continue to hit grow, and then I switch their ID to 1, that's going to change those to green. Alright, now I don't necessarily want to do that, so I'm going to set that back to 2. Okay, so that's how you can work with sub-object or multi-sub-object materials. Now in our next lesson, we're going to show you how we can begin working with UVs and how we can start working with texture maps and laying those out on specific parts of our ship. Alright, so I'll see you then.